guys, Seth here. Tonight we're going to be tying up a couple micro rabbit hair leeches. These are good kind of still water streamer patterns. I use them a lot in high alpine lakes that are full of real small leeches. So yeah, going to be sipping on some Bridger Brewing Company beer tonight, and let's get a couple tied up. Alrighty. Like I said, we're doing some micro leeches today. First one I'm going to tie up in going to be a gold color. It's a size 10 hook right now. Start off with a few. We got a copper colored tungsten bead. On there. Start off with about 10 wraps of lead wire. Like I said, this one's going to be gold color. For my gold leeches, I like to use a red thread, a little bit of a red accent right towards the head when you finish the fly off. I'm going to be tying this in 2 colors tonight. I usually fish it in 3 different colors. 3 colors I usually fish it in are black, gold, and then the other color I'm going to tie tonight. I'm not going to tie black tonight, but the other color I will tie tonight is it's pink. Like the base of the hairs are pink, but the tips are purple. I think it gives a cool little effect on this fly. But I'm using rabbit hair off of zonker strips is what I'm using. Pick off a clump, get rid of the fine guard hairs. I like to tie it in a way that gives me the most length as possible while putting my butts right up against that lead for an even body. Sorry about that delay, I was having a hard time finding my red wire. So like I said, I like using red accents on this fly. So I'll tie in a bit of red wire for a rib. And then what I do to dub the body on this, I'm going to take that same strip of zonker and I just rip out hairs and just dub those hairs onto my thread. Makes it super easy to color match. think that should be just about enough. And that was just about perfect. Alrighty, so got our body dubbed. Now I'll take that rib, wrap it through as even as possible. Helicopter it off. For the next part, for our collar on this fly, we'll be doing the dubbing loop. So we'll start that up, close it off. Then we'll be using one of these clips. I try and get my zonker to stand up as straight as possible. Then use that clip to grab a hold of the hair. And take your scissors, cut that hair off the hide, leaving yourself with enough hair to grab onto with that loop. Now this rabbit here is pretty dense, so it doesn't always like to spin. And so I'll kind of spread it out in that dubbing loop. Make it a little bit easier to spin for you. Give her a quick spin and let her twist up. So with this rabbit here, because it's so dense and thin, it'll kind of clump up like that. So I just take a dubbing brush. This is just a rifle barrel cleaning brush. Came in a kit with a bunch of them, and I'll never own a 270, so I use it for my fly tying. Alrighty, so once we got our dubbing loop done, we'll start wrapping it forward, or wrapping it around, I guess, that collar. What I'll do is I'll do a wrap, stroke everything back, do a wrap, stroke everything back, till it's about as thick as I want it. That's looking about good right there. So I'll tie it off. You don't want to overcrowd that bead. And then throw some thread wraps in front. Give yourself a little bit of a collar. We got a bunch of hair right there. It's kind of not wanting to cooperate, so I'm gonna clip it off. I don't care. quick whip. And then I'll very carefully use some UV resin on those threads. I say carefully because if you touch this resin to the actual rabbit fibers, it'll soak up in there and it'll make your rabbit fibers not want to flow like they should. So there's a gold one. We'll go ahead and tie up one of those purple and gold ones I was talking about. For that, same deal, size 10 hook. Since this is a darker color fly, I use a black bead instead of a copper bead. Again, we're going to do about 10 wraps of lead wire. This is 0.02 lead wire for the sizing. Kind of push that up there into the bead. Alrighty. Change my thread out for some purple thread to match the rest of this fly. Alrighty, same thing as the last one. Start that thread out behind the lead. Bring it to the back. On this one, we'll be using this pink and purple zonker. Alright, got ourselves a little clump of that. Go ahead and tie that in. Again, make it so that those butts match up with the end of the lead. Just kind of even things out. And then again on this one, I'll use some more red wire to rib. Alrighty, we got a little bit of thread base worked. Doing that same thing with stripping pieces of this zonker for our dubbing. So like I was saying, this is a great still water pattern. I'm sure it would probably also work in rivers and streams. Probably throw it under an indicator during high water there's a tailwater near me that I'm sure that would work great on. This fly under an indicator. But just slow stripping these through the alpine lakes is where I get the most success out of them. I've had, this last summer I had a few successful trips to brook trout lakes. Didn't end up getting any sizable brook trout this summer, but got a few nevertheless. And then it was also a pretty good productive fly on a trip to a grayling lake that I've mentioned in the previous videos. Caught quite a bit of grayling. Slow stripping this one as well. I'll probably try and fill this boring part here of me prepping stuff with some photos of some of the fish I got with this fly. So it's a pretty simple fly. You can knock out a bunch of these in one sitting. I really like this fly because it's essentially one material. You could skip out on the wire rib and you would do just fine. But yeah, essentially the whole fly is just stripped rabbit zonker. That looks like about enough. I'm currently feeling a little bit of a cabin fever. I recently bought a book about kind of a guide to the Beartooth Mountains, which is a place I've fished most of my life, but there's a lot of lakes that I have been wanting to get to that are in this book. And then in addition to that, there's a lot of lakes that weren't even on my radar that now are definitely on the list. So although I do like winter fishing. I'm really looking forward to the summer. Ice fishing season's been good for me, good to me at least. I've had a bunch of successful outings ice fishing this winter. And then the local tailwater, I've had a bunch of good trips out there also. Lots of big fat rainbows. So far this winter, I had only been able to catch rainbows, it seemed, and then this last couple days ago, I finally broke the rainbow streak and got a brown. But yeah, so far it's been a good winter. I'm just really looking forward to those trips up in the Alpine Mountains and throwing stuff like these here leeches. They're a great little pattern. Like I said, strip them or throw them under an indicator. They work good. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching.